प्रातस्मरामि हृदि संस्फुरदात्मतत्त्वम् सच्चित् सुखं परमहंस गतिं तुरीयम् यत् स्वप्नजागरसुषुप्तमवेति नित्यम् तद्ब्रह्म निष्कलमहं न च भूतसङ्गः। आत्मनो विक्रिया नास्ति बुद्धेर्बोधो न जात्यति जीवः सर्वमलं ज्ञात्वा ज्ञाता द्रष्टेति मुह्यति रज्जु सर्पवदात्मानम् जीवो ज्ञात्वा भयं वहेत् नाहं जीवः परात्मेति ज्ञातश्चेन्निर्भयो भवेत् आत्मावभासयत्येको बुद्ध्यादीनीन्द्रियाण्यपि दीपो घटादिवत् स्वात्मा जडैस्तैर्नावभास्यते स्वबोधेनान्यबोधे च बोधरूपतयात्मनः न दीपस्यान्यदीपेच्छा यथा स्वात्मप्रकाशने निषिध्य निखिलोपाधीन्नेति नेतीति वाक्यतः नित्यादैक्यं महावाक्यैर्जीवात्मपरमात्मनोः आविद्यकं शरीरादि दृश्यं बुद्बुदवक्षरम् एतद्विलक्षणं विद्यादहं ब्रह्मेति निर्मलम् देहान्यत्वान्न मे जन्म जराकाशलयादयः शब्दादिविषयैः सङ्गो निरिन्द्रियतया न च अमनस्त्वान्न मे दुःख रागद्वेषभयादयः अप्राणो ह्यमनः शुभ्रः इत्यादिश्रुतिशासनात् निर्गुणो निष्क्रियो नित्यो निर्विकल्पो निरञ्जनः निर्विकारो निराकारो नित्यमुक्तोऽस्मि निर्मलः अहमाकाशवत् सर्वम् बहिरन्तर्गतोऽच्युतः सदा सर्वसमसिद्धो निस्सङ्गो निर्मलोऽचलः.
The last class we concluded that the great rishis and the masters, they have no other message to tell us except to say that you must wake up to reality, that you have lost your original identity and that you have to wake up to your original self. This is probably the only message that they have to say. So the moment they say that you have lost yourself, genuinely a question may arise as to how did I lose myself? So you ask the question, how did I lose myself? And we said that this is a fallacious question. This question cannot be answered because the question itself is not valid question. Why do we say it is an invalid question?
Because we are just, we haven't lost it. It's just covered by memories.
Correct. That is the correct answer. But when they say you have lost yourself and you ask, how have I lost myself? Just examine that statement, how have I lost myself, and try to analyze as to what do we mean by I there. Suppose you take the example of a dream. Though it is not possible, assume that a master enters your dream and he is saying that you are not this personality, you are somebody else. You are somebody who is sleeping in your house in Baliganj, in Alipur. And you are believing yourself to be a beggar or somebody in a very bad condition in the dream. So they have only one message, that wake up to the reality. You are not this, just wake up. You have lost yourself. This is what they say. So the dreamer asked this question, sir, I believe you, but how have I lost myself? When the dreamer asked the question, how have I lost myself, using the first person singular pronoun I, who is he referring to as I? The dreamer. But has the dreamer lost himself? No, dreamer has not lost himself. The dreamer is very clear about his background. He is very clear of his source, of his birth, of his everything around him. He is very solidly grounded in his personality. So taking the position of the dreamer and using I for the dreamer, he cannot ask the question, how have I lost myself? Because the dreamer has just not lost himself. He is very much there. With all the explanation behind that I for the dreamer, he can give. So then does the I refer to the waker? If the waker has lost his personality, but then how can dreamer use the word I for the waker? You can use the word I only when you wake up for the waking personality. You cannot assume I for some other personality who you are not now. So the question, how have I lost myself, does not hold any ground. So it is a fallacious question. So you can slightly change the question and ask, how has the self lost itself? To which that answer comes, the self has not really lost itself. If the infinite self has lost itself, and let us say as though it has become finite, then the infinite self will not be doing all the infinite things that it has been continuously doing. We are infinite not with reference to past and future. We are infinite in the present. You are doing infinite activities now. See, with the reference to past means you are an aspect of your father's father, like that. It goes into first father. We do not know. It's infinite chain. So you are a product of that infinite chain. So if you extend your past, it is infinite. If you extend your future, it is infinite. You have a son, he will have a son, he will have a son. When is it going to end? No, it's never ending chain. It's infinite. So with reference to past and future, you are infinite. But what about present? We seem to be confined in the present to a small body, mind and intellect. No. Even in the present, you are infinite. You may not be aware, but at this very moment, that's just that you thought you are sitting and listening here, you are doing infinite activities. This is what we covered in a few classes before that. When you want to register a site across the road and claim that you saw a friend, oh, there's Sally, you are actually making million calculations within your eyes, cells and receptors and cones and everything there until it reaches the brain and forms an image there, and that image is interpreted. All this is just one small fraction of your time, one small fraction of your activity. But you are just not seeing. You are walking, you are breathing, your heart is pumping blood, your kidney is functioning. Who is doing all these things? Each and every moment, thousands of cells may be generated, the cells are destroyed. All these things only you are doing. Nobody else is doing. Your body, who else can do? You are only doing. So, if you are counting all these activities, you are actually doing infinite activities. So, unless otherwise you are infinite, how can you do infinite activities? So, you are infinite self in the present. So, the infinite self has not lost itself. So, you cannot ask the question, how have I lost myself? You cannot ask the question, how has the infinite lost itself? But then the master is saying, you have lost yourself. That is the only way they can convey. There is no other way. They have no other message. All the message of Tattvamasi, everything can be given, but how can they put in that awareness that you are sleeping? That is impossible to convey, yet they are shouting, that's all. In a wilderness, the cry is there. Any one soul hears it, it's well and good. Like that it is. So, it is a way of saying a desperate call from the master. So, it is not that you have lost one more thing, like I lost my pencil and I lost myself. It is not like that. Losing oneself means you are not in your real original personality. You consider yourself to be different from what you are. And you go through all the pains and suffering of that. That is what he is going to say in the next verse. Bhayam dahe. You are caught up with fear. See, a person thought he was a worm and he was suffering because of that. He was not a worm. He was a 6 foot tall person. He thought he was a worm. He was put through a psychiatrist sessions with him and dehypnotizing or hypnotizing, whatever they did. Finally, after 6 months, he was made to believe, or he came to the conclusion that he is not a worm. And then when he went out of the hospital, suddenly he came back to the doctor and asked, sir, now I am convinced I am not a worm, but does the chicken know that I am not a worm? The chicken never thought it was a worm. That is like it is. You have never lost yourself, but we are deluded that we have lost ourselves. We may ask, what of it? All the problems that we encounter in life is because of that only, a wrong understanding or a delusion. So this is what it says in this verse, that Jnata Drashteti Muhyati. It's a delusion that you say, I see, I know, I hear, I do all these things. It is just not possible. It is just not possible. We talked about the Margaret and Merman story. The marriage with Merman is impossible marriage for Margaret. So therefore be very cautious about listening to that church bell, which is the voice of conscience within you. And then you belong there. That is what you always have to remember. In this verse he says, Atmano Vikriya Nasti. The Atma does not undergo any modification. It is changeless. It is the substratum of everything. Your body, mind, intellect, all these things seem to change, but it's the changeless substratum from where actually you notice these changes. So it is the witness. It is the witness consciousness within you that is the Atma. The intellect per se has no capacity to know. It is not endowed with knowledge. Knowledge is the function of consciousness actually. That is where the question that we posed, that in the diagram of that trough and water, where there's a incident ray and there's a reflected ray, and that reflected ray is having that idea, I know. I know is a conditioned consciousness. Everything in this universe you know. About yourself you know. About your experiences you know. I know. I am aware. I am aware of that sound. I am aware of this knowledge. I am aware of my ignorance. I am aware of this. I am of comes. Aware of something. That of something is called as conditioned consciousness. Your consciousness is conditioned by your limited knowledge. And the rest is ignorance, limited anyway. So, in that diagram, that pool of water represents, we said, thoughts. So, whose thought is it? You cannot say it is my thoughts or the individual thoughts, because the individual is born after reflection. The individual is born after reflection. That's where I know that individual entity comes. So who else is left? Brahman is left. But Brahman doesn't have thoughts. So whose thought it is? It is not anybody's thoughts. But That is why he said it is an impossible combination. That thought does not per se exist to have a knowledge in itself inherently. It is not there. Ramana Maharshi gives a beautiful formula to understand this. Because, see, deeply analyze and think about it. The thoughts within you, which is in the form of the mind, has an existence only simultaneously in conjunction with any object or being outside you. If any object or being outside you is not there, thought is not there, which includes your body also. Your body is outside as far as your thoughts are concerned. When you have a thought, you have something to think about also. So, thoughts and that thing that you think about are a simultaneous existence. They exist simultaneously. So, if apple is there, thought of the apple also has to be there. If rocket is there, thought of rocket has to be there. If space is there, thought of space has to be there. Each and everything exists for you because it is there in your thought, only then it is there outside. Both have a simultaneous existence, we said. So in that same way, if I ask you to think of this, you think of that, you can think of everything. That I ask you to think of this camera, think of this Ganesha, think of Calcutta, think of your mother, father, everything you will think of. Think of your thought. Try to think of your thought. It is not possible. You are aware of something, that something is called as thought of something. When you are aware of apple, that is called as thought of apple. The mind cannot turn inward and focus upon itself to find out who it is. Manasam tu kim margane krite naiva manasam marga arjavad. You ask this question, who are you, to the mind directly, it says it has no answer. See, a lady is there doing all the makeup because she is wanting to attract the other person. But when her husband turns towards her, she withdraws herself in shyness. This is what it is. Like that, mind is there with all its might as long as it is turned outward and it is attracting and getting attracted to the objects and being outside. When you turn towards the mind and ask the question as to who you are, it withdraws itself completely. It is not there. This is the process of even going towards finding out who you are, according to Ramana Maharshi. That only process is to find out who. Any question that you ask him, any problem that you submit to him, he only says only one thing: go and find out who is asking this question. Then it is all solved. Who is this asking this question? So, if you are going deep inside and trying to find out who you are, the mind ceases to exist. The mind does not exist. It is a state of no mind. So, that solid seeming world and your solid seeming mind, they support each other mutually. Per se, the thought doesn't exist. That is what it is. He is going to further elaborate in the next verse. So, when that is not there, how can you say that your intellect is endowed with knowledge? It is just not there. It is not there. But in this verse he says, the individual deludes himself to believe that I am seeing, I am knowing, I know, I see, I hear, all other things that you claim, jnata drashtayati mukhyati. So that is, he says, delusion. Delusion means a state of complete confusion. Because when you say I know, I hear, I see, you are using the I in terms of that limited I, which is the small self, which is your body, mind and intellect. So that means you claim that your intellect knows, which is not the case. If intellect were to know, it has to finally know itself also, if it is an independent existence by itself. That is not the case. It is not so. It is only existing with reference to the thoughts, with reference to the objects and beings that are there outside, including this gross body we said. So this I, which believes itself to be of an independent existence, which we call as Jiva, is basically deluded. This delusion is there from the beginning. Do not try to analyze or go into the research as to when we were deluded, etc., because it is just not possible for you to understand when it all started. But all that we need to understand now is it has to end. Sometime it has to end quickly. As quickly as possible, we should go towards that. So, that we assume ourselves of an individuality having this body, mind, intellect is nothing but a delusion. Delusion, as I said, is a state of deep confusion. At the absolute level, it is just that we really do not know answer to any of the fundamental questions of life, and we brag about we know everything in the world. He is a human encyclopedia, like that you can get a title. But what of it? Who are you? That very question we do not know the answer. Where have you come from? All that we can say is we have come from home. After class we'll go to home. That's all we know. That means your knowledge is limited to only a few hours. Where have you come before that? Before that you ask, you will maximum say, I came from my mother's womb. That's all. Before that, I don't know. After your death, where are you going to go? I do not know. Life is an arrow shot from the dark, flutters in the light for a while, and goes back again into darkness, says Matthew Arnold. Matthew Arnold defines life like this. It's an arrow shot from the dark, flutters in the light for a while and goes back to darkness. 50 years, 100 years, big time that you live, it is fluttering in the light for a while, that's all. This side and that side is actually absolute darkness. We really do not know where we have come from, where we are going. Okay, what are you doing here? Are you sure? That also we are not sure. You may have 1,000 plans, but everything goes topsy-turvy within a moment. You exactly do not know what you want. We exactly do not know what we are pursuing and what we are getting. Nothing we know. But how are you? Very fine. This is what is delusion. Actually, Swamiji says nothing is fine about you, and you claim that you are very fine. This is complacency. This is not to feel depressed always that I am not fine. This is to say that the fundamental questions of life we are not pursuing. That is where our focus should be. That is delusion, and you very easily claim that it is exactly like it's contextual. Tomorrow is Bakrid, right? Not only on Bakrid, very many animals get slaughtered, and even on other days they get slaughtered. They are transported in a truck or something to the slaughterhouse, and in that truck they are either fighting with each other or trying to mate with each other, and they are not knowing that in a moment that they are going to die. What state of mind that the goats are or the cows are, it's really, you feel sympathy for them. Exactly the same way Lord Krishna feels sympathy for us when he talks about in the Bhagavad Gita, or Adi Shankaracharya feels the same way. You feel extremely confident, and because of that extremely complacent. It is not so. Jnata drashta iti mukhyati. It is absolute delusion, he says. Atman never undergoes modification. The intellect is never endowed with knowledge. Yet an individual, having known all as it is, becomes deluded with the notions of I am the seer, I am the knower. We'll chant verse. Yes, sir.
But in general life, if somebody comes and asks me, how are you? And you? And you start talking Vedanta, he's not going to like it. He's saying it.
No, please don't talk Vedanta to him. You say I'm fine, Hari Om, and
Thank you.
That's all. You feel always well. You feel always happy. That is the way it is. But from within your point, it should not. He is only cautioning against us against being complacent about our own goals and pursuits in life. Never ever feel that yes, that's all it is in life. What is there? Kim Anyat, says a Asuric person in Gita, he says, Kim Anyat. That's all. What else? What else in life? See, with reference to all your material pursuits and the material possessions that you have, you may feel content. It's a great virtue. In fact, only when you feel content with it can you even try and think of something more. So you are rich or poor in terms of the possessions that you have, but feel a sense of contentment. Be thankful to God that you have been provided with all these things. That's good. But with reference to spiritual pursuit, never feel content. Never ever feel content. You always want to achieve more. You always want to reach more heights. Always try to associate with great Mahatmas who have reached there. Always keep Vivekananda, Ramtirtha, Ramana Maharshi and Paramahamsa and others as the, what you say, Adarsha Purush. That's ideals in life that you must have. And never ever feel complacent. It's good that you can achieve certain milestones even in spiritual path, but for a moment you are there, enjoy it, just move forward. You have to just move forward, never ever feel complacent. So in that sense, generally when we use the word I also, it's a, so see, suppose if a person, I'm giving some money to other, he is feeling guilty that he is taking from me, he said, don't worry, I am rich. So here it is not that very egoistically saying that I am rich. I am rich by saying I am giving him confidence. So it is not the question of even the usage of I. It is how you feel about that I. That egoism with which we say I am this and I am that, or I am nothing and I am that, egoistic feeling is what we have to take it out of root. For which I am saying when individuality is there, basic delusion is there. That is what this verse says. There is a basic delusion.
So, I'm just getting confused about the thoughts. Thoughts being inert, but the difference between Atman and Brahman is basically the ignorance is giving us thoughts only, right?
There is no difference between Atman and Brahman.
Atman we consider like the Atma inside me, is Brahman is the macro and Atma.
It is only the contextual usage of the word.
Yes.
Both are infinite self.
Yeah, yes. Contextual, yes.
Contextually, the usage of the word only I am saying. But Atma is the infinite self. Brahman is the infinite self.
Now, in death, we say that man and buddhi travel to the other body. So, man and buddhi is thoughts only. So, then how is it traveling to another body if it is not having anything, if it is inert per se?
Yeah. The thoughts are always in the limited sense of our birth and death. Thoughts are always in touch with the Atma only. So they seem to, when you say the life, as I said, it's an arrow flutters for a while. All this fluttering is all happening because of the light only, because of the Atma principle behind it. So when you say, in Gita he says the Atma moves from body to body. What do you mean by Atma moves is that individual self, which is nothing but your mind, intellect, vasanas, that component, in association with the self only it moves. It is not that in other words, the mind, intellect component is never ever divorced from the self in the limited sense. And that is what is the belief, that is where karma, birth, death, everything happens. But per se, you can never imagine a mind or intellect by itself functioning. It is functioning, it seems to move, it seems from this body, then it goes to all that body. All that is because of the existence of the Atma behind it. Otherwise, it is inert and insentient per se, like any other matter. The separation is not for us to be seen or proved. Just as gross body is different from Atma is provable by death, by other means it can be proved. The separation of subtle body and Atma is just not proved. That only you have to, through the process of Vairagya and other sadhana, you have to separate and see. Till that point of time, this Atma in conjunction with the mind and intellect appears to us as it is. And that is what he says is delusion. That you consider this to be the union and you say, I know, I hear, I see, I experience. It is just a delusion, he says. Because per se, it does not have any life in it. The life principle is a combination of these two only. Think about it. Yeah. We'll chant verse 27.
रज्जु सर्पवदात्मानं जीवो ज्ञात्वा भयं वदेत् नाहं जीवः परात्मेति ज्ञातश्चेन्निर्भयो भवेत्.
mistaking oneself for the living being, like the rope mistaken for the serpent, one is overcome with fear. If one is known not as the living being, but as the Supreme Self, one becomes free from fear. This verse probably contains the highest thought of Vedantic philosophy and the most famous example of Vedanta, which is rope and snake example. We said in the last verse, delusion from the absolute level is to see the world of names and forms where there is only a changeless reality. Like where there is only a rope, you see a snake. Therefore, there's a beautiful continuation from the verse 26 to verse 27 here. When the changeless substratum alone is there, how is it that we see this world? How is it that the thoughts and the world appear at all? This is ultimately answered by using the term called as Maya. It is all the play of Maya. Or in some cases you can use the word Leela. It is all his Leela, like that only. Why? Why cannot be asked? That is what it is. You cannot ask the question why. It is again a fallacious question. Why is something that you cannot ask. You are asking why. I am only saying why is because of this, and you cannot ask that why or where. Where does space start means you are asking where does where start. You cannot ask that question. Now, in order for us to see this world or create a perception, there has to be a play of two things. There is a subject and there is an object. These two has to be there. Only when they come together, there is a perception. In normal sense also, you understand, when you have to have an experience, you need to have both subject and object. You need to have a movie, then you see the movie. Seeing is an experience. Movie and you both are there. Thought or idea is given to you, that is the object, and you, the thinker, is the subject. So subject-object combination always has to be there for any experience, for any perception. But it was said very clearly in the previous verse and before also that the Atma in you does not undergo any change, which is the real subject in you. It is the pure consciousness in you. It is the I in you. The body, mind and intellect seem to undergo change, but the Atma does not undergo any change at all. So as such, the subject, the real subject, seems to be only witnessing the change. It is not undergoing any change. But we see that all our perceptions are changing, the world is changing, everything is changing. So therefore, if the changing factor is not in the subject, is it there in the object? In the object also, I think while doing 7th verse or 8th verse, we said that, he said Sarva Adhisthana. The real substratum behind all the objects in the world is the same Atma, which is again changeless. The reality behind all the objects here, the reality behind the table, reality behind the man, reality behind the room, reality behind everything is that same unchanging principle of Atman. Like the screen is the unchanging reality behind all the scenes in the movie. You are only seeing the movie, but there is a changeless substratum behind everything in the movie. Similarly, you are only thinking about the film which moves, but there is a changeless light behind the film. The light flashed through the film seems to make all the appearances on the screen. But that light is a changeless substratum, changeless entity here. So actually, where does this play of action and reaction come at all? So that means, in other words, the subject also points out to the infinite reality. The object also points to the infinite reality. There cannot be two infinity, therefore there is only one infinity. Infinity is one. So the greatest objection arises as to how can there be action and reaction in infinity? Correct question. The answer is there is really no action and reaction in the infinity. Action and reaction is there to explain to you the perception from a limited point of view. So the object outside, the reality is there as consciousness outside. There is the consciousness inside. All this outside and inside comes because you put a circle and say, I am this. When you only say, I am this, then you have something inside and something outside. That circle itself is questioned in this verse. That's all it is. That circle does not have an independent existence at all. It is not there. But you have a circle, you have a perception that has to be explained, and that is scientifically explained by the process of action and reaction. That is correct. So action and reaction are there in the limited sense. That is why the object conditioned by the qualities, the consciousness conditioned by the qualities becomes the object outside. The consciousness conditioned by the thoughts become the subject inside. Then there is a reaction of the object and the subject, you can say. That is how it happens. The subject and object react because both are essentially consciousness. See, action and reaction can take place only between two similar entities. So if you are the consciousness absolute inside, your consciousness can only react to consciousness from outside. And in that, the play, names and forms are thrown out into the world like this. That is what we experience. This is the ultimate thought. I would recommend that you go through the portion of Theory of Perception by Swami Ramtirtha again, upon which we also had a discussion. Fortunately, that talk is there on the YouTube. You can go through that portion. It's a very tough portion that he is talking about, where he says ultimately the action and reaction happens in the realm of consciousness because of the antakarana being there, which is your mind, which is your thoughts. Okay. Now, action and reaction are therefore existing only in the limited sense. Ultimately, you go into the depth of the object, you go into the depth of the subject, you hit upon that same consciousness only. So, in other words, it does not permit any action and reaction in itself. So, here there are two standpoints for which Swami Ramtirtha creates another objection. By himself, he creates another objection, that you say that Atma is beyond all qualities, and that is proved within and without. It is beyond all qualities. Anything that is beyond all qualities, and you say upon the substratum upon which everything takes place as an action, reaction and everything, but then you are contradicting your own statement by saying that it at least has one quality. What is that one quality?
Being the base.
Being the base. Being the substratum. Being holding everything together. That it is supporting everything. That being the supporter is the only quality that it has. At least that you must accept. Ramtirtha says, just be patient. Your argument is correct. But there are two standpoints. From the point of view of you who is experiencing the world as an individual, we have to explain that there is a substratum, and that substratum is the true infinite consciousness, word, Brahman, whatever it is, that is there supporting the subject and object. But from the point of view of Brahman, there is absolutely nothing else apart from it. Where is the question of action? Where is the question of reaction? Who it is supporting? Who is it not supporting? Nothing like that. A common example that we can take is that of sun above. Is sun the all-doer or sun no doer? It does nothing. Actually, it is both. From our standpoint, from the person who is living in this world, sun is responsible for everything. It does everything. Because of sun's heat, that the water evaporates. Because of that, the rain is there. Because of that, the food is there. Because of that, the living beings are there. Because of that, every activity happens here. If you remove the sun from the equation, earth will collapse within a matter of minutes. So who is responsible for doing everything in this world? It is the sun, seasons, everything, day and night, everything is because of that only. This is from world standpoint, from your standpoint. But you take from sun's point of view. Does world exist or not? It does not matter to the sun at all. Sun's existence is not dependent on the world's existence. Sun is not doing anything. What is it doing? It is just existing. That's all. Similarly, Atma is existence. Existence, knowledge, bliss. That's all. From its point of view, it does nothing. It is not substratum. The moment you say substratum, upon the substratum there is a building, right? We do not consider the building at all in the first place. So where is the question of substratum? In itself, it is not there at all. So he says, from the point of view of the Brahman, it is just not there. Any substrata, any play of in the world is not there. But from the point of view of world, there is a supreme ruler, there is a supreme controller. He gives a very beautiful example. You see a video of a ship that is going in the ocean. The ship, or a cartoon you assume, the ship has a captain. The captain is all powerful. He is guiding the ship. He is controlling the ship. He is the master of the ship. He is taking the ship carefully in the ocean. But when you switch off that TV or the projector, the ship goes away. Along with him, the captain also goes away. So the captain is as real as the ship. But when the ship is there, captain is the captain. Captain is the controller. Ship is under the control of the captain. So if you are in the ship, better surrender to the captain. Without captain's grace, you are not going to cross that ocean. That is the situation now. Ishvara is a tattva, which is the same Brahman, which is the same God. Be very careful in understanding this, because this should not take you anyway away from the bhakti or surrender to the Supreme Lord, which is Ishvara. But the moment you say Lord or Ishvara, the immediate assumption or question is that Lord of who? Only when there is a Jiva Tattva, that is an individual, can there be a Ishvara Tattva also. This Jiva, the individual, this Jagat, the world, both of these are controlled by that supreme power, which is called Supreme God, which is omniscient, which is omnipresent, which is almighty, which is all-knowing, all-powerful, all-pervading, everything. That is the infinite qualities that it has. That infinite quality full Ishvara is there as long as you are there as a Jiva, as this individual. Therefore, from the point of view of you, it does exist with qualities and all the play of this in the world is there. But from the point of view of the Brahman, which is actually Nirguna Brahman, there is nothing absolutely there. It is there as it is. That's all it is. This differentiation is resolved by understanding the antinomy called Maya. This is the highest thought in Vedantic philosophy. Ya Ma, Sa Maya. Ya Ma means that which is not there. She who is not there. That which is not there. So you put that reality question here only. Is this world real? No, it is not real, you cannot say, because reality is that which exists forever. In your own experience, this world does not exist in deep sleep. It is not there in your dream. So how do you say it is real? It does not stand to the test of reality. Is the world unreal? No, you cannot say that. Because unreality is that which never exists. Now it exists for us. It is producing impact upon us. I see that snake. How can you say snake is not there? I am getting fever because of it. If snake was not there, fever will not have come. So it is there. World is there. All the emotions is there. Hunger is there. Other impulses are there. Everything is very real. So you cannot say it is unreal. You cannot say it is real. You cannot say it is partially real and partially unreal, because reality and unreality don't coexist. So what is it? That's what it is. You cannot say anything about it. Maya is one term that is given, that is Maya. That's all. It is a very fascinating explanation for us to think about. So you ask any question with reference to the origin of the world, the component of the world. We are not discouraging any scientific temper in any person, but when science pursues world like this from objective point of view, Ultimately, they will hit at dead ends here or there somewhere down the line. It is just not possible to find out unless you are able to switch on that consciousness within you and understand the real source of it. So in real source of it, they only say that God has not created the world. God is appearing like a world for you at this point of time. Swami Ramtirtha gives an example which our Swamiji has slightly modified and put it in Vedanta treatise. He gives that diamond and charcoal example which we have seen before. But you draw a regular hexagon here. A regular hexagon has this is all 120 degrees each. Obtuse angle. 6 angles it has. That is a hexagon. But I have drawn this line, but you imagine this line. If you imagine this line, what do we have here? We have a triangle. We have a triangle here, and in between there is a rectangle. This triangle has 2 acute angles. Here is an acute angle 30 degrees, here is another acute angle. Here is a right angle for the triangle. But all this is imagination. You have to just see now, where is the right angle, where is the triangle? There is nothing there. So, do you need to bring in an external factor for this as a creator called God who created the triangles here? No. It is just the angle that you see. That's all it is. It is just the angle. Sometimes haven't you seen a picture? From this angle it looks like a cow. From that angle it looks like a elephant or something like that. There are beautiful sculptures and drawings like that. Or we saw in that duck or a rabbit. It looks from one side it's a duck, from another side it's a rabbit. So it is not some other creator who has created it. It is how you look at it. So Vedanta's ultimate explanation is that the world is not created by God. The world is God. World appears to you like God. So this has to be, and that is why in this premises they are explaining creation theory in Upanishads. Just as a spider spins a web from his own saliva, like that, all those examples come. If at all, when we read Mundaka Upanishad, we'll see that. So, this play is the play of Maya. Why it appears like this? That's what you have to explain. So, Swami Ramtirtha says, why do you see a triangle here? Better you explain, because I am not seeing it. And all other theories of creation, if I give from there, it came from there, I can talk about Adam and Eve first, or I can talk about some other space came first, then air came. All these theories of creation, I can give 1,000, maybe many theories are there in Upanishads also. But if you go by that theory step by step by step, there will be one flaw that you will find in somewhere. That will be there. You are saying that there is a zebra standing. I am not seeing the zebra, but you are very clearly seeing the zebra, and then you are asking explanation for it. Then I will give an explanation. In order to appease your mind, in order to satisfy your mind, there will be explanation given. But in that explanation, definitely, if you are scientific minded, you will find a flaw. So ultimately, I will only say, if you are seeing a zebra, you please explain, because I am not seeing it. So Swami Ramtirtha says, if you are seeing the world, please you explain the world, because there is nothing like that for me. I am only seeing consciousness. It is this consciousness which appears in the name and form. So in fact, the jnanis of Vedanta, they don't have even a hatred towards the world with all its name and form. Bhaktas go in a step ahead and see them all as a Leela of God, that's fine. But the jnanis are able to see the name and form in and through. They are able to only identify with that supreme reality. So why it is happening, he says, that is where the play of illusion comes. It is just a play. It is just a play. It's a great scientific explanation that he gives. He talks about 2 illusions that are at play. He talks about as intrinsic illusion and extrinsic illusion. It's a very, very subtle and deep concept, I would say. You go through that portion in Vedanta treatise once more, maybe tomorrow morning you can read it. See, illusion is that which appears from one angle, but when you go to the source, it is not there. That is called as a illusion. From our perception angle, you see a mirage in the desert and assume it is water, then that's an illusion. It is created by a total internal reflection where the hot air along with the sand that is below appears like a water from a distance when you see in this angle. A deer also sees. and it runs there, there's a water. From it's there, it goes somewhere else. Like that it is. Like that is our illusory perception in the world. In fact, mirage is called in Sanskrit also as Mrigatrishna. Mrigatrishna means it's a thirst of the deer. It remains as it is because it runs there, it goes somewhere. It runs there, it goes somewhere. It is a play. Exactly like that. We feel the pleasure is here, we run there, the sense objects here, then we run there, the sense objects there. What more proof you want of illusion? You need any extra conceptual theories to understand Maya? Nothing, it is there. In fact, Markandeya in Bhagavad Purana, I think he asks Krishna, people talk about Maya, what is this Maya? He is asking for an explanation. Why he is asking for explanation is, he doesn't understand what Maya is. He knows only consciousness. He knows only the self. So yes, people are talking about Maya. What is this Maya? I don't know. But for us, Maya is very clear actually. Maya alone is there. And yet, the delusion is we are asking what is Maya, being inside the Maya. That is the delusion actually. So so no more proof is required that we are made to jump here and there in the world, seeking the pleasures here and there, not getting satisfied, yet pursuing it again and again. And you get beatings, you get all the sufferings. After that also, next day, without thinking, we go there only again. So what more proof is required that that's what it is? So this is what is the illusion that is playing in the world, he says. Intrinsic illusion is when you see something where something else is there. That is intrinsic illusion. The reality is obscured. The illusory object is seen. That is, this rope and snake example comes. Where there is a rope, because of twilight, because of whatever other reasons, you see a snake. You see something. Take it like that. You see something. Now in this example, what is the cause of the snake? Is it the rope?
Ignorance of the rope.
Ignorant.
It is the ignorance of the rope. It is not the snake that is the direct cause of the. It is not the rope that is the direct cause of the snake. Because if rope were to cause the illusion of a snake, everybody has to see the snake where there is rope. That is not the case. Only a person who is ignorant of the rope. So when rope is there, there are two possibilities. That you can understand rope as a rope, that's no problem. When you do not understand the rope as a rope, that is the seed of the problem. The seed creates the further manifestation. The seed is called as non-apprehension. The further manifestation is called as misapprehension. So seed body is that which is ignorance. So something is there. That's all you know. Something has come. And that something then takes the shape of a snake for one person, takes the shape of another reptile to another person, takes the shape of a crack on the earth to another person, or a water hose pipe in another. You see it in a garden, you mistake it as a water pipe to another person. All that is happening because first place you have not understood the rope as a rope. Here is a very interesting thing that comes out. In that, after that intrinsic illusion is formed, when you project something, immediately two sets of qualities are born, the quality of the original object and the quality of the illusory object. They appear simultaneously to you. That is the birth of extrinsic illusion. In the same rope and snake example, the moment you have not understood the rope as a rope and something is there, that something produces a snake. Now you ask the boy who has seen a snake to describe the snake, he will give all the qualities of the snake. He will say the snake is 6 feet long. He will say the snake is 4 inches thick. He will say the snake is coiled and black and round. All these things he will say. All these qualities do not per se belong to the snake, but it belongs to the snake as far as he is concerned. It belongs to the rope. So the moment snake is there in your mind, two sets of qualities are there. The qualities of the rope, the qualities of the snake. It is the qualities of the rope that mirror themselves in the snake. So what is intrinsic illusion? Intrinsic illusion is there only one thing is seen, either the object or the illusion. In extrinsic illusion, three things are seen simultaneously. You see the real object, you see the illusory object, and you see the medium which creates that also. When you stand in front of the mirror, you are there, the mirror image is there, and the mirror which causes the illusion is also there. See, you may say, you understand it's not but a child may think there's another child there. A sparrow may think another sparrow is there. That's an illusion. But simultaneously, three things are there: the object, the image, and the medium. So here, the moment you create something out of it, it immediately, that forms the mirror. With that as the mirror, the properties, so here only the properties come. The properties of the object gets reflected, and that forms the properties of the illusory object also. So go back to what Swami Ramtirtha said. Per se, it does not have any quality, any property at all. But the moment you create a reflecting medium, immediately two sets of qualities are born. The qualities of Brahman, the qualities of the world. And it is the quality of the Brahman which reflects itself in the quality of the world. So therefore, we give a reality value to the world. The reality value to the world is given because of the property of Brahman. Why do we say the world is real? Go back to the definition of reality. Reality is that which exists. So this world is real because it seems to exist forever. So it is real with reference to time. Time is eternal. Time is there spreading forward and backward. It is there always. Again, infinity. Space. Space is there, all pervading in all directions. That is again infinity. Causation. Cause and effect chain goes ad infinitum forward and backward. So time, space and causation which forms that solid world is having this infinite quality which gives reality to the world. But he says, wait, this infinite quality of time, space and causation does not per se belong to this. It is a reflection of that infinity. That alone is infinity. That alone is real. That reality, when it gets reflected here, you believe this is it, and you believe you are that person inside that mirror. You are now believing yourself to be the person inside that mirror because you see a world of infinity there. What is there outside is there inside, right? So that for that person inside the mirror, it is actually infinite. But can you say that the mirror is infinite? Mirror is not infinite. Mirror is 8 feet tall, that's all it is. It is a finite. In that finite, there is a projection of the infinite. That infinite is what we consider as real. This is what is known as extrinsic illusion. Intrinsic illusion is the core. Intrinsic illusion produces the world. The moment the world is produced, extrinsic illusion is also produced. So if you ask the sequence, this is the sequence. Intrinsic illusion, world, extrinsic illusion. But it is simultaneous. Imagine a person is walking and he is fallen into a well. That well is actually two concentric wells. There is a well inside, there is a well outside. That means there is a boundary wall inside, there is a boundary wall outside. He comes, slips and falls inside the center. Okay. Now, falling is only one, but he is actually inside two wells, as it were. So, he has to come out of that inside well first, then the outside well. Like that it is. So, he has to break the first wall and then break the second wall. So, you have to reverse the process here. You have to get out of the extrinsic illusion first, and then you have to get rid of the intrinsic illusion. In fact, Swami Ramtirtha reconciles all religion here, and he says all religions, all theistic religions, including Christianity, Islam, everything finally talks about absolute love, absolute surrender to God, absolute bhakti. All this is the essence of all religions. So if a person were to truly follow that, you can go up to great height and probably cross extrinsic illusion. You can merge the entire universe into that supreme reality of God, and you experience infinite as though outside you. He is there. I mean, that itself is a very, very great height. It's very rare that person goes to that height itself. A person whose mind is full of Krishna sees Krishna everywhere. That's all it is. For him, everything is around him, everything is like Krishna only. There was Dongre Maharaj in Gujarat who wrote Bhagavat, a great soul. one set of pilgrims from South India went and Dwaraka and other places they visited. So he was alive at that point of time, few decades back. So they took permission and they wanted to see him. So one of them who knew some Hindi, he went inside and requested, ये लोग चेन्नई से आए हैं, ये आपका दर्शन लेने आए हैं. So immediately he said, darshan lene nahi, darshan dene aaya hai. So he only sees Krishna everywhere. He doesn't see that somebody has come to take his darshan. Krishna has come. So he has to take their darshan. To see this everywhere, that is the mind which is filled with Krishna. Similarly, a person who is a true Muslim, who professes only the thought of Allah, he can reach that height. Single point. A person who is only thinking of Jesus Christ and nothing, he can also reach that height. St. Paul, anybody for that matter. If you are single pointed and you are able to merge everybody into that uniformity of love, you can go up to the stage where you break that barrier of time-space causation and you are actually experiencing the infinite reality. And this is where Swami Ramtirtha says, Vedanta takes you one step further. It says it's a great thing that you have come this far. But take one step further. Dissolve that second valve also. It is not that you have to experience infinity, you are that infinity. That realization comes once you cross the intrinsic illusion also. That is what this verse says. Naham jiva paratma iti jnatasche nirbhayo bhavi. I am not the individual self. I am the Paramatma. So this is the only thing that we need to repeat. That I am that self. It is not a sort of hypnosis. It is like dehypnotizing ourselves to say that I am this self, I am this self, I am this self. Like that, if you are able to go deep within you, by His grace only finally, that illusion also breaks off. So when both the illusions go off, what remains is the pure self. Yes.
So in the extrinsic example, is the mirror the Maya?
It is.
So the mirror is the Maya in the extrinsic example, and what is
The whole play is called as the Maya. See, when you say, when we say in that example, rope is the, snake, the illusory snake acts as the medium. Then properties of snake come, properties of rope also come. Like that, only when the mirror comes, then there is a person with all the properties here and the person with all the properties there. See, in this example again, there's a limitation. You cannot ask, does rope not have a quality? That's the limitation of the example. Anything in the world which you give as an example has to have a property or a quality. But that which you create in imagination of whatever it is, that is what your world is. And therefore, that appearance is Maya. That appearance in itself is Maya.
Then I am not understanding the extrinsic illusion is, I can visualize that we are seeing the infinite as the world through Maya. But the intrinsic illusion, what are we seeing?
That's what intrinsic illusion, if you understand, you are realized. So if you are not understood, you are on the right path. That's what it means. Intrinsic means that Brahman is not understood as it is. You are seeing something. That's something. We do not know what it is. You are seeing something. That is the root cause of all this. That is called as ignorance. So what has created the potential of not understanding the rope as the rope, that is, it in itself is acting as the very cause from which immediately it springs. See, why it is not catchable is, here we can talk about two wells, one after the other and all, but it is actually when you fall, it is simultaneous. You are here and you are actually in reality. So the question of removing this world as unreal and seeing something as real as an objective experience doesn't arise at all. So intrinsic illusion cannot be captured, but it is there as a issue which needs to be resolved. That's all.
So when you and the world, you're seeing the world as and Krishna everywhere, Krishna whatever, Brahman as the world, and so when it's just this two, is that intrinsic illusion?
That is intrinsic. You have crossed the extrinsic, you are still but an illusion, that is intrinsic.
So when that you goes, then it becomes like
One. That's correct. Then when you goes, you can't even say I, because there is nothing else to have that separate identity or entity at all. So pure thing, something that is pure in its form, that alone exists.
So we are forget about intrinsic, we are stuck with the extrinsic illusion also. Now we are just trying to, with all these concepts, we are just trying to understand. One of the methods of understanding would be, how does a self-realized soul see the world in that
That is
state?
not our problem. Why are you always looking at from self-realized point of view? You look at from your angle and you say that I want to get rid of the ignorance. That's all. Why we are always caught up in how he perceives the world? Yes, he doesn't perceive the world at all. He perceives only the self. He is only the self, and that alone he experiences. What you experience as name and form, he experiences the self. So his perception we should not really get into, because you will just not be able to understand after any explanation, even by him, because he just cannot convey what he sees into words. That is the state of that person.
So you can say that ignorance is the technical medium, extrinsic.
As it is, correct. But that ignorance, when we talk about it, in that thing, in that trough and water example, it is that water which is actually causing that reflection. But you do not pin it down by saying that that is ignorance, or that is what it is, which cannot be understood as it is. So that is what it is. Yes, that that thing, that which is there, which seems to create all these things, but in its core which is not there, that is called as Maya. So that is the true play of Maya. Since we have not understood, this ignorance is the play of Maya as far as the individual is concerned. So Maya so we said that only Brahman alone exists. Brahman in association with Maya is Ishvara Tattva. That Ishvara is not ignorant. He is that same, all that which is without any quality is now coming with all infinite qualities. That is what is the Ishvara Tattva. But what happens to this Jiva? Jiva is a conscious entity but riddled with ignorance. So the play of Maya in an individual is called as ignorance.
We have to follow the neti.
He is coming in 30th verse. He is going to say, not this. You have to remove everything. Yes, sir.
In general, by careful controlled thinking, can the waker control the dreams?
No, when you are controlling the dream, means you are saying that that I should not dream.
No, I dream what I like to dream.
No, that is usually the product of indiscriminate thoughts. Only the dream comes more and more. So the moment you become intellect control and everything, in other words, that's why I asked no dreams. As you become more sattvic in nature, that is where control comes, right? Your thoughtful mind and control and everything comes. You seem to dream less and less there, because there are no leftover experiences to come as dream. But the moment the mind becomes indiscriminate, it could be indiscriminate in a positive sense also. You will have good dreams, or you will have nightmares. Various things come because of indiscrimination. We'll conclude with some of the questions.
Poornam Adah, Poornamidam, Poornat Poornamudachyate, Poornasya Poornamadaya, Poornamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.